I thought I'd do an update on how my pear tree's getting on. There's reasonable fruit formation this year. That's generally been the case for most fruiting trees such as apples and pears. It's been widely commented upon by many gardeners and allotment folk that the blossoms on the trees this year have been very, very impressive, and that's usually a good sign that the fruit to be harvested later on the year will be very, very impressive too. I was particularly impressed with your chili house, and you've got a mixture of sweet peppers like California Wonder and was it Padron peppers?
We've got a Spanish tapas pepper, which is Padron.
Is this the one where it's 1 in 12 chance of it being
it's
a
like
super
Russian roulette with the hot? Yeah, whoever gets a hot chili.
Wonderful.
So they just stir fry them with some olive oil.
Yeah.
Chili blister, then just put them in a plate, sprinkle them with sea salt, and so there you go.
And the California Wonder plants, if anybody's not seen the other episode, I would suggest going back to see it, because in the few weeks we've been away, it's really come on, hasn't it? Really healthy growth.
Just starting to get the flower buds in there now, you can see.
Yeah.
Just there.
Wonderful.
Just get plenty of fruit, and got some here. These are slightly drier. Not been watered as much, but the flowers seem to be a little bit further ahead.
That's
the ones
interesting.
that I went to.
And your tomato has started to develop, and it's a beefsteak variety, I think. That.
Yeah, these are all old heritage varieties. So it's stuff you don't get in the supermarket.
Nice. And where did we put the Hungarian hot wax? Have you sold them yet?
No, yeah, they're in here somewhere.
Is that it?
I've got a tag somewhere.
You've still got some in the pots here as well, but they'll be needing to go in.
Yeah, the Hungarian hot wax are in the glass house.
Right.
They're in pots with the cayenne peppers.
And we promoted the idea of companion planting last time. And is it keeping some of the aphids off?
It does, yeah, it keeps them at bay, so I don't like to use pesticides at all, and I'll try to use alternative measures where I can, and the French marigolds seem to be working a treat. Got no aphids in here whatsoever.
You can tell your tomato plants are looking free of aphids, and obviously the companion planting of French marigolds, which have a quite distinct and strong smell, is obviously helping keep the aphids at bay. And it adds lovely colour to it as well, doesn't it?
A really strong scent as well as you water them. And in the heat you tend to get the scent comes through.
And this is where you said you've got your Hungarian hot wax.
Yeah, it's just
the terracotta pots.
Terracotta pots, yeah, so it keeps the roots a little bit warmer. So earlier in the season, when there's a risk of them getting cold as they come on, the terracotta pots keeps the heat in. So we've got the Hungarian hot wax just at the end here.
Yeah.
Then you can see it's just starting to go into flower. You've got cayenne peppers here, which are in flower now, so I'll have to get some fruit off them.
I like what you've done with your cucumber and this.
Melon.
Is it melon?
This, yeah.
Oh, right.
Just now getting flowers, so I'm hoping. There's the flowers now, so they're just going off. I'm hoping they're going to set and I'll get some fruit.
And the simple improvised trellis, really heavy trellis, but it's doing the job.
Yeah, it's going to climb up. It's going to climb up there, and then I'll thin it out. So I've got 2 flowers there. I'm hoping I might get a few more.
Nice one.
Some bud setting just there, but I'll thin this right out just to get maybe 2 or 3 fruits, good quality, rather than get half a dozen and struggle to try and ripen them.
And have you done this before, Chris? This method of trellising up here?
I've took
so
this
it's
off
new.
Instagram, yeah. Somebody that grows down south, and they've used this method, so I've copied that.
Will be interesting to see how you get on.
Yeah,
that's great. I notice you've got asparagus here, Chris. Asparagus is definitely one of the plants that, now that I've got an allotment, I'll be wanting to grow. Is there any advice you'd want to give me in terms of how to go about that?
Yeah, it likes a really free draining soil, really rich and shelter tight. But now with this being the longest day of year, it's the last day to harvest it. Traditionally, this is where you take your last lot, and then the plant's got the rest of the season to recover.
Okay.
So future growth now, you just let it go.
Just tell us a bit about this really impressive apple tree you've got, Chris.
Yeah, so this is a really old variety. It's an old Yorkshire variety called Fillingham Pippin. So up north was quite well known.
Is it a cooker or eater or multi-purpose?
It's a dessert apple.
Right,
but it grows the size of it, it looks like a cooker. But yeah, up north we had quite a lot of orchards pre-Second World War, and then we lost them after the Second World War. So it's quite good to try and grow varieties that are quite rare now.
And it is your hobby, isn't it, to try and maintain heritage varieties?
Yeah. We've got a couple more over there. We've got Duke of Devonshire, which is an old Cumbrian variety.
Right.
That goes back to 1856.
That's impressive, isn't it?
Planted on the estate.
Which one is it? Is it?
It's the fat one on the left there.
Right.
Yeah.
This particular one, another heritage.
Yeah. It was planted on the Duke of Devonshire's estate in Cumbria. So it's quite well suited to the northern climate.
Right. It's not as prolific in its fruiting as the other one. Is that just this year after some heavy pruning or something?
Just this year, but I think it's quite exposed to the easterly wind, and the east from the east I think caught the early blossom.
Right.
So I've lost quite a lot on it.
Yeah.
But it'll come back next year hopefully.
Yeah. And over here you've got a dwarf apple.
It's an old dwarfing stock.
Nice.
But it's really heavy with fruit.
It is definitely generous, isn't it?
So I'll maybe thin this out a little bit. I don't mind taking this down to 1 or 2 apples just to get good fruit on it and store them.
Ray mentioned that you're better off having 2 really good size fruit than small.
Well, you get a natural drop in June, which you can see here.
Yeah, that's a natural.
There's a lot of drop there, what's natural occurrence, but then what I'll start to do is towards the end of the month, I'll just start thinning out.
Yeah.
Maybe take it down to 1 or 2 like that's perfect. Or maybe even just that one. You know, you're going to get a really good size apple, good healthy apple that you can store.
Wonderful. Chilli plants are one of my favourite things to grow, and in fact it's probably one of the first things I grew when I was younger. This particular chilli has got some nice flowers that have formed, and though if you look carefully you can see that the chilli is starting to develop. And what I particularly like about this example is that it's branched out quite a bit, and bushing out like this will mean that I should get a large and heavy crop of chillies. I know chilli growing has become quite fashionable, and rightly so, because you can grow a whole array of chilli types, both in terms of colours, size and texture and flavour. It really is a very diverse plant to grow. Now there are only 2 varieties in here, Prairie Fire and Hungarian Hot Wax, and I can tell the Hungarian Hot Wax from the Prairie Fire even at this early stage, because the Hungarian Hot Wax has much larger flower heads, whereas the Prairie Fire tends to be a lot smaller. As these chillies are in a greenhouse, I've had to make sure that I water them regularly. One way I've got round that is by using these trays. They're quite deep, so I can water directly into the tray, and through capillary action the water will rise up and the plant will take up the water as it needs to. And obviously the feed that I showed how to produce a few episodes ago, the comfrey feed in particular, is being used from time to time just to keep these plants healthy. And the obvious sign of a healthy plant, particularly a Chillies, that its leaves are lush and green. So I hope those of you who are growing Chillies are pleased with your Chillies so far. And we'll be coming back to see how these Chillies of mine get on in another few weeks' time. Obviously the strawberries are now, for me in the greenhouse, certainly past their best. And what I want to do now is have a think about how best to use this space. I've got one or two ideas, and I'll reveal shortly what I decide to do. Now, having cleared the area of strawberries, I've decided that I'd put chilli plants directly into the ground, and I think, in fact I'm pretty confident that because it's in a raised bed, the plants should be okay. But as with anything, you live and you learn. Having finished off this afternoon's work and knowing that the plants should be fine over the next few days, now that I've given them a good drink, I'm pretty pleased with that work for today. And in fact the space that was created just in front of the Chillies has now been occupied by some stem amaranth. They weren't doing too brilliantly in the polytunnel, so I'm hoping a change of location for this particular plant might help it kick on. So I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen today. Please like, share and subscribe if you haven't done so. Thanks.